Hi, everybody. Day after the last presidential debate last night, it was exciting. I think both sides did pretty well. Donald Trump continues to lie, but then again, I think he's told like about 21,000 lies in the last 4 years. So, of course, he's going to lie during the debate. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, it's the end of the week. Here's the weekend. Weather looks like we're going to have some showers today, but look, the weather is looking pretty good. A couple days off and on rain next week, but hey, you see sunshine. I'll just take the sunshine and guess this weekend we're going to have some sun. It's a little chilly though. It's only going to be a high of 49 on Saturday and Sunday, and lower 50s or mid 50s through the week next week. But hey, I'll take this weather forecast versus rain any day in the fall. In fact, a week from tomorrow, it's Halloween. I wonder if I can get dressed up. Probably not. There's no parties. Anyway, a little update on some local news. Amazon just announced yesterday that they are going to, a couple days ago, that they're going to head and extending their remote work policy through June of 2021. Now, Amazon employs about 50,000 in Seattle, South Lake Union, a lot of the buildings that they also have office space in downtown Seattle, like the old Macy's, a number of the buildings. Obviously, this announcement is a major blow to the restaurants and bars in South Lake Union. A lot of them have closed. In fact, Tom Douglas has like two restaurants in South Lake Union, and they're closed basically. Tom Douglas did permanently. I think Serious Pie is still open on Westlake. Now, more than 120 street-level downtown shops have closed since March, according to the Seattle Times. Google earlier, a few months ago, announced that work from home is going to be until July 2021. Google has a big presence in South Lake Union. They're really right between all the Amazon offices and Mohi and South Lake Union. So those buildings are going to be empty through July 2021. Facebook has a major presence in South Lake Union. They're on Westlake and also on Dexter. They have a couple buildings there. They're going to work from home till July 2021. Starbucks, I didn't know. I have a neighbor, John, that works at Starbucks. They're working from home until October 2021, which is a long time. Zillow, which has a big office building in downtown Seattle, the Russell Investments building on 2nd and Union, they're working from home indefinitely. Microsoft's going to a hybrid model where some people are going to come to the office like 50% of the time and then work from home 50% of the time. And then certain people can work with their managers to actually work from home permanently. Obviously, there's certain developers or testers, et cetera, that they don't really need FaceTime with anybody else to pretty much work alone. Those people are going to continue to be able to work from home. Well, this is pretty interesting. More hours, more burned out. All this working from home actually has some mental stress in terms of workers. And more specifically, I don't know if it's, you do have, I mean, this is the case for most workers, even white collar workers, or excuse me, non-tech workers, I should say, that are white collar are also feeling the same issues that tech workers are feeling. 68% on the survey said they're more burned out working from home than working in the office, which is kind of interesting, right? 74% at Amazon are more burned out working from home than the office. Microsoft, 76% are feeling more burned out working from home than working in office. T-Mobile, 83% are feeling more burned out working from home. This is really, really interesting. And the other case is that 60% of the survey said people are working more hours when they work from home because they tend to wake up early, start working, maybe take a break, then do personal stuff, and then in the day they'll go online again, and maybe after they watch some television they'll go online again. So people do tend to work more hours, and the survey says 60% work more hours. And I think a lot of the people are basically saying it's really hard. Like, for example, when they had a commute, it was very easy to quote unquote disconnect right from home, and then you go to work. And then when you leave the office, you're disconnecting from work and you're driving the commute back to home. Well, when you're working from home, there's not really any physical disconnect. So you're always feeling like you're working. So your home and work are basically blended. And so psychologically, people are not having that physical disconnect of going from home to work and then the physical disconnect of leaving work. People are also concerned with the relationship with their managers since it's only via Zoom. And a lot of people are worried about this work from home is impacting their chance of being promoted. Now, this survey was conducted by a company called Blind. They are an anonymous workplace community app. Those are very interesting. This is other surveys that we're seeing out there. A lot of companies are doing their own surveys. This is pretty much supporting the general results of this survey that people are burnt out, people are working more hours. Here's a very good ranking of my alma mater. I'm a UW alumni. UW jumped to number 8 in global ranking of best universities, and computer science is one of the top subjects. So we went up from number 10 in best global universities in the US News and World Report rankings for 2020. We beat out pretty prestigious universities like Princeton, Yale, and Johns Hopkins. Our computer science program is ranked number 9, which is very good, very powerful. So here are the other schools in the top 7: Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Cal Berkeley, Oxford, University of Oxford, Columbia, Caltech are the 7 schools above the UW. So we're in pretty good company. So here's a list of, in terms of the subject rankings. So I highlighted in yellow any rankings that were in the top 10. So number 6 on clinical medicine, number 9 we talked about in computer science, number 5 in geosciences, number 6 in immunology, number 6 in infectious diseases, number 8 in microbiology, number 6 in molecular biology and genetics, number 8 in pharmacology and toxology, number 7 in social science and public health, and number 6 in surgery. A lot of sciences, a lot of pharmaceutical sciences. We're doing pretty well. So UW Medical Center, UW Medical School is one of the tops. So this is interesting. This is a great announcement by Mayor Durkin to kind of help our struggling businesses during this pandemic. She's going to extend the temporary street permits for outdoor seating through Halloween of next year. So, the mayor earlier this summer, to help businesses, she basically waived the fee. Like, for example, you can see her outside of the Unicorn, waived the fee to have a permit to take over the parking spaces on the street, turn those into outdoor dining. So those permit fees are waived. They expedited those permit applications, and those are basically going to be extended for another year. The mayor made a good point. I mean, she wants the business to kind of invest in long term, because right now it's kind of like someone says it's kind of like setting up a block party every night, because they have to pack everything up, reset it back up again. So it's a hassle. So if they can put things out there, lock it down, so they don't have to reset things up every day, I think that would be easier for the restaurant and bar owners. The other thing is going to happen, obviously, this is not California, so we don't have 80 degrees every day and no rain. A lot of these companies now, a lot of these restaurants and bars are going to go ahead and invest in tents. So they're going to invest in tents. And as you can see here, what the Unicorn is doing. So they're going to invest in tents. It's going to be, tented on top, tent on the sides. And they're going to bring in patio heaters, obviously, since it's going to be the fall and the winter. So the patio heaters are going to need permits from the Seattle Fire Department. So the city is working with the Seattle Fire Department to allow these heating permits, as long as they obviously meet fire code and inspection requirements. There's certain things, like, for example, you have to have a fire extinguisher in there, and it has to be inspected, I believe, every 90 days. So they're going to allow those tents to have heaters, those patio heaters, to make sure you're nice and warm. So this will allow restaurants to bars to continue to have this outdoor seating, which is so critical to their business, since right now the indoor seating capacity is limited to like 50% or 25%, I believe. Here's some examples. For example, Optimism has a nice outdoor area that they have, and they're already tenting it already. Here's a nice area just around the corner for me, Rion, which is Ethan Stowe's restaurant. They basically took over half the street here between 15th and Malden. They took over East Harrison. That street is actually officially closed. And you can see here they have a number of picnic tables. So I believe that Rion will probably buy a tent or rent a tent and put it over these tables and put heaters on. So that's great news. Great news for our local businesses. They really need it. Oh, the debate. I think Biden held his own. I don't think he did any gaffes. I think he did good. Trump actually behaved himself. And even though he lied like crazy, we'll show a little clip about all his lies. But let's go ahead and watch a couple of the recaps of the debates.
President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy, though. You have
Can I respond to that?
30 seconds, please, and then I have a question.
No, number one, he says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it. Because he has never said, he said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I take full responsibility. It's not my fault that it came here. It's China's fault. And you know what? It's not Joe's fault that it came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to the world, including Europe and ourselves.
Vice President Biden.
The fact is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry. The warm weather. Don't worry. Maybe inject bleach. He said he was kidding when he said that, but a lot of people thought it was serious. A whole range of things the president has said. Even today, he thinks we are in control. We're about to lose 200,000 more people.
President Trump.
Look, perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding on that, but just to finish this, when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said, this is a terrible thing, you're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even, and because I was closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier. It just, Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of those things.
You certainly did. You certainly did.
I talked about a xenophobia in a different context. It wasn't about closing the border to Chinese coming to the United States.
So obviously that was the toughest part for Trump, is because of his total ineptitude and total lack of leadership in dealing with coronavirus. And here we are, 4% of the world's population, but 20% of the world's deaths. He's totally screwed up on our whole response to coronavirus. We need new leadership, and Biden's going to lead us back from this coronavirus pandemic. So here's, I love Rachel Maddow. She's going to point out some of the lies, some of the lies of Trump. And there were many last night. So let's go ahead and hear from Rachel Maddow.
Lies that Brian just singled out there, and kudos to him for doing so quickly. I do think there were a number of lies that are potentially dangerous to leave hanging out there for the American people, specifically about COVID. And I just want to highlight a couple of those. The president did say tonight, again, that there is a cure for coronavirus. There is not a cure for coronavirus. And every time the president says that, he is misleading the American people in a way that is potentially very dangerous. If people are calibrating the riskiness of their behavior based on how serious it will be if they get infected, the president telling you it's a cure is something that could kill you, because there is no cure. And he says it over and over again, and it is not true. He said U.S. excess mortality rate is lower than almost any other country. That's not true. We have one of the worst excess mortality rates in the entire country. The president said he's been congratulated by many countries on what we've been able to do. We have the worst COVID outbreak on earth and the most of our citizens dead. Anybody who's congratulating him on that doesn't mean it in a good way. The president also said, as Brian noted, that we are rounding the corner, it's going away, we are rounding the bend, rounding the turn, these spikes and surges will all soon be gone. There's no sign of that whatsoever. In fact, it looks like our country is heading into a third peak that looks like it will be higher than any other peak that we have had thus far. That means more people sick, more people infected, more people spreading it, more people in the hospital, and ultimately more of us dead. The president tells a lot of lies about COVID, and we don't have to fact check everything that he said right now, but there's no reason to believe that military families gave it to him. I don't know why he keeps saying that. I don't know why he says that young people are of no concern if they get infected. The president's saying tonight that the transmittal rate to the teachers is very small. You know, in Florida alone, in September alone, 189 teachers were infected between September 6th and September 26th. Writing off the teachers and saying, don't worry, the kids won't give it to you. The president is just flat out making that up, and it's potentially dangerous. The president also trying to give the impression tonight that it's only states where there are Democratic governors that have trouble with coronavirus right now, completely ignoring the fact that the state with the highest coronavirus rates of increase in the country right now, the worst COVID outbreak, in fact, on earth right now, is in the state of North Dakota, which is not run by a Democrat. Neither is Tony Fauci a Democrat. And I know there's a lot that the president said that was wrong tonight. There's a lot of fact checks, but I feel like the COVID ones are just dangerous. And so we have to get to them right away. Nicole.
Love Rachel Maddow. I love the fact that she called out. And those, you're right. Those are also lies. You're right. He keeps on saying that there's a cure. There's no cure. There's no cure. And you're right. That does trick people into doing risk behavior if they believe what the president says. So that is a complete lie that, like Rachel said, could be deadly. Here's a very interesting thing I found. CBS News White House correspondent Mike Noller has tracked this. And Trump has given 10 times as many interviews to Fox as any of the outlets since he's been president. So here it is. Fox News, all the platforms, they have Fox Business, blah, 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 115. Wall Street Journal, and it drops down to 10. Well, one thing to 10. NBC, CNBC, 9. Washington Post, 8. Reuters, 8. New York Times, 8. ABC News, 7. CBS 7, including Tuesday's 6-minute interview. Associated Press 2. And look at this, CNN 0. He hates CNN. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna finish things off with a couple ads. Again, I always do an ad from the Lincoln Project and a Biden campaign. And here's a good one called Men.
Our dads weren't perfect, but they did their best to raise us to be good, to be honorable, to be men of family and faith. But above all, they taught us to own up to it when we did something wrong.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Let me go. I don't wanna be your hero.
We may have thought we were doing the right thing in 2016.
Be a big man.
But it's clear this isn't the America we voted for.
Your masquerade.
We made a mistake.
I don't wanna be a part of your parade.
So it's time to own up, to be the men our dads raised us to be, and the fathers our sons need us to be. Because they're watching us the way we watched our dads. It's our turn to set the example. Vote for change. Vote for our sons. Vote for Joe.
The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
That was a good ad. I love that ad. Talked about, fathers and their sons, and what the country did 4 years ago was a mistake. It was only 78,000 votes, but it was a mistake. So here we go. Finish it off with a nice little kind of a Midwest, a blue collar type of message from the Biden campaign.
Scranton is a long way from Wall Street. You won't find skyscrapers or big city bankers, just hard-working people that make this country work. That's where Joe Biden's story starts, in working-class neighborhoods where you could make a good living and pass on a better life to your kids. That's why Joe Biden went into public service to begin with, to make a difference for working families. Donald Trump, he ran for president for himself and for his friends on Wall Street. For Donald Trump, it's about those at the top. For Joe Biden, it's about the backbone of this nation, working families. This crisis has revealed that we must do more for workers and small businesses, not the wealthy. And Joe Biden is the one to do it, to build back better.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
That was a great ad. I love those kind of ads. It makes you feel inspirational. That's what elections is about. Elections is about hope. And Joe Biden has articulated his plan, his ideas for a Biden-Harris administration. Trump doesn't have any plans. He's just trying to survive. Anyway, have a great Friday and looking forward to a great weekend. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.